Great to have you join us on this week's episode of the program. I'm Melinda Kinlami. So many exciting solar exhibitions happening around the country, and we have some of them right here. Beyond Mimesis reveals this artist's distinct style at the Signature Beyond Art Gallery, Lagos. Then it's off to the nation's capital, Abuja, for a solo show by contemporary artist Sorsen. Get all the details when ArtHouse returns in a moment. Do stay with us.
I brought all the experiences as a top theatre artist in this land to the fore, as it's done in all other places where children are celebrated and entertained.
Let's begin in Abuja, where contemporary artist Sorsen presents his latest body of works in Earthlings and Others, a solo exhibition.
For the love of nature and humanity, that's a theme which resonates once again in this solo exhibition of paintings by contemporary artist Sorsen at this space in Abuja.
This solo exhibition is titled Earthlings, and within the context of this exhibition, Earthlings talks so much about inhabitants of the earth, and I'm looking at two key inhabitants. I'm looking at the tree, I'm looking at humans. Why? Because when I look at the tree, the anatomy of the tree, the structure, its architecture, it sort of reminds me of the chaotic nature of the human condition. Most especially when I see branches clustered together. And I drew my inspiration again from this popular analogy called the tree analogy. And what that means is that for a tree to stand means that its roots has to be well rooted in the ground, and it's the same thing for humans too. For a human being to be called a human being, that human being has to have some very strong values, because the body is just the body.
The ambience transforms into a cooler, calmer and lush atmosphere thanks to these works of art that appear to add that spice to the environment with earthy toned colors that warm the heart.
The painting talks about hope, talks about displacement, all pieced together. And sometimes I use the elements of the human forms and branches to sort of represent my own situation here in the country, my own situation as a human being who lives, who struggles to make meaning of life sometimes. And what you have here is more like the sun, which reflects hope. This is more like the chaos, the displacement. And you can see this is somebody's face here. This is somebody's face, this is his hand, this way, leaning and like sort of a bit confused, trying to find the light and look at the light behind. Yeah.
as he explains some of the pieces that echo his message of creating a better world.
So what I've done here is that I've looked at trees and humans as motifs of interest, like I said before. Then I've tried seeing how I could allude them to certain metaphors that connect to living, like metaphors that hint on love, introspection, resilience, hope, and just other bits. Yeah, so there's one that I have that talks about none of us is free. We're all entangled with something, one thing or the other, maybe family, work life, or some things that are even mental. Like we're not just saying it, but we're just not free. We're being held by something.
The titles further emphasize it, as seen: Hope in this theatre of the absurd, Stormy sea but steady sailing, I will be your shield through the storm, as well as Soaking it in all, are just some of the works on display.
I really enjoy. In fact, I told the owner if they have got any spare, can give it to me, because I really like every piece of the artwork. It's absolutely beautiful.
One of my favorite ones, this one here, because it's more like a shadow of yourself, like trying to know who you are or something. Like it can be difficult for someone to detect something like this, but with your inner mind, you can see what the outcome is. And for an artist like this to be talented to do something like this, it's very, 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 very nice.
I like things that are very, very simplistic. And this piece behind me here connotes that. There's something very simple and almost direct about the painting. The fact that few colors were used to execute this art piece, but looking at it closely, which is the beauty behind this work, you now see some other details. Okay? Some other details that maybe at first were not obvious, but by the time you engage the work, you begin to see some other details, especially in the color. And then coming even much closer, you discover that the works are actually textured. Okay? But generally, the fact that he used very few colors to express himself, I think that's one of the reasons why I like this work.
Because there is this feminine aspect where you see this person mixed in the sky, but in the trees. So you don't know whether the person is soaked, whether it's somewhere in the air. So whoever you are, you can decide where the person is. And then because of this very small stroke, you can spend like a lot of time looking at the details at the same time. So you can have either like a very dreamlike approach or very detailed approach. So it's a beautiful piece, definitely.
Looking at it, actually, it feels like, a man that is weighed down by a lot of problems, a lot of issues, maybe thinking a lot about things. So I think it really translates, for me personally, translates to Nigeria, with the current economic hardship, situations in the country, we're really weighed down by a lot of things, problems, food, insecurity, and the likes of it. I think I came into this place earlier. I met someone. Person had to ask me, how is the country? So you can just imagine. So I think the arts really expresses that for me. And that's why it's my favorite here today.
The artist has been consistent with this message, carrying it into his 6th solo exhibition called Earthlings and Others, but giving the viewers a fresh perspective through these paintings.
Taking a moment now, when ArtHouse returns, your works of art and more. Do join us again.
Our wordsmith for today is titled Chained by Wonder Dewdrops. The artwork is created by Kingsley Nwafo. How I came to love him, I still can't remember well. I've become so addicted to him, like my whole life depends on him. I feel like he's the air I breathe. He's the water I drink. He's the food I eat. He's my heart and lungs. I've become his slave. I don't know who stole for him, that I was his shadow. Now he can do anything with me. As much as he beats me, I can't leave him. Where will I go when all my life's on him? He doesn't love me, yet I can't live without him. He has showed me the worst, yet I can't even make a step away from him. I chained myself in his prison, then threw away the keys. No one can even trace the spare key. I've desired to escape, but I can't. Maybe this is how it was meant to be. I knew myself while with him. I've lived in his web of poison. And here, I'll die a chained-free soul.
And these are the works of art you sent in recently. Let's begin with this one called Dangerous Beauty by Favor Williams. It's a pencil on paper drawing. Then this piece called The Bulldog is 100% iron metal work by Blessing Ibie. Face Your Fear, the second in the series, is an oil painting on canvas by Kingsley Nwafo. Then Onoha Columbus is asking everyone, what do you see? Especially when you look in the mirror. It's an oil on canvas work as well. Vivid Impressions, the first in the series, is an acrylic on canvas work capturing a mesmerizing array of emotions by Oyeni Oluwatobiloba. Then, what's cooking? That's what O.T. Emmanuel is asking, and little wonder, especially because he's using cooking salt and food spices on blackboard to create this work of art. Then Riverside is an acrylic on canvas piece by Jerome Amadou. Monkey Post is an acrylic on canvas piece as well, done by Mazi Dennis. Then Happy Family, that's what Wilson Felix is saying, also with acrylic on canvas with this lovely work of art. And those are the works of art you sent in recently. We really appreciate you for sending them in and being really creative about them. So we encourage you to keep them coming.
This solo exhibition took place at the Signature Beyond Art Gallery in Lagos.
The Signature Beyond Art Gallery Lagos is the venue for this solo exhibition, which reveals Kelly Omodamwen's Benin bronze casting ancestry seen in these sculptural pieces.
Been working on these pieces for a couple of times now because there's a story I needed to tell. It's all bronze pieces out here. And from the title, you can tell that Mimesis is a representation of events, is a representation of issues happening around. So if you take a closer look at the pieces we have here, their forms are a little bit quite deceptive, but my intention for this kind of forms is to tell you about the strengths of the inner man, like the inner strength of a man.
Beyond Mimesis brings 6 years of fresh sculptural experience to the fore to tell his visual stories through a contemporary style and theme built on a rich artistic and cultural background, as well as a love for the impasto painting technique.
The technique I applied here is is a new technique I've just adapted, and the reason I did this is quite inspired from my interest in paintings. I'm an artist that loves impasto kind of painting, so when I see those kind of paintings, I just see myself applying that kind of technique in my sculpture. And also, I feel this technique helps me even represent the story I would like to tell through my artwork beyond Mimesis. Like it is a technique I feel could actually depict what I have to talk to the audience about. So that's how I settled for this style.
Elongated forms and sizes in surface tones, linear qualities of the contours, silhouettes and decorative patterns of the direct fingerprints on wax, synergized with spark plugs, enliven the surfaces of his sculptures.
So if you look at the surface of the work, they are quite different from the usual method that we've been seeing. So, and other things I see in these works that each and every piece represents human emotions. And that is the line of Aristotle. He said, don't copy nature the way it is, but represent it in your own way. So I'm so engrossed with the way this guy have represented each and every one of the sculpture.
The stories he tried to tell with his work, story of inspiration, of strife, of fighting with efforts, trying to make something of yourself in this time of difficulty. It's very important to tell those kind of stories to serve as a hope for people, to whatever they are going through right now. So I'm very impressed about the works I've seen so far, and I look forward to what next he has to offer.
For the artist, the voice of every creative person depends largely on their technique and choice of medium, which enables the audience connects with the works of art.
I'm very much inspired by the things I see around. I'm looking at some of the works right here. You can tell from what's happening around the world. For me, I feel there's so much crisis, there's so much hunger crisis, there's so much, apart from the hunger crisis, there's so much resilience in us as human. So that's one point I captured so much that inspired some of these pieces. Like the other work I titled 9 Lives, the cat, I think that says it all. Like as humans, we need to have that resilience to keep moving forward. So this is the whole body of concept that comprises of the numbers of work I have here.
The artist's style has evolved over the years, moving from the traditional Benin to contemporary art forms, infusing waste materials into functional and aesthetic bronze pieces.
Media mask, that's inspired by is a traditional concept from historical events in Benin Kingdom. So if you take a closer look at each of those art pieces right there, on the head of the mask, those are Benin warriors. You know, the Queen Idia herself was a warlord. So I tend to represent each of her warriors on her head. From the original concept of the mask, which we have in the British Museum, it was a representation of time when the Portuguese soldiers came to Benin for trading. But for me, as a modern artist, I felt the need to do something new. So I thought being a queen with the war experience and all that, I felt she had her warriors that needed to be iconized. So that was what I did, bringing in her warriors alongside her instead of the Portuguese soldiers.
His creative journey began at his grandfather's bronze casting studio in Benin, Edo State, and he has a higher national diploma with a distinction in sculpture.
We have a group show and more, but that will be on the next episode of ArtHouse.
Next week on ArtHouse, we enjoy Modern Matriarchs, a group exhibition at Windsor Gallery. Then shaping the future of ceramics is what renowned Austrian sculptor Selma Etareri is doing at Quintessence Gallery. And Table of Hope, an exhibition at Freedom Park. We encourage you to keep liking, sharing and viewing our page so more people can enjoy the ever-bubbly and ingenious art scene in the country.
Your ArtHouse experience doesn't have to end when the show is not on television. Interact with us on our various social media platforms. See any edition of ArtHouse on our website or YouTube page. Join our very interactive Facebook page by joining the group on ArtHouse on Channels. We're everywhere.
That's ArtHouse this week. We appreciate you for being a big part of it. And we want to emphasize that you can see this and other editions on our YouTube page. Just check for ArtHouse on Channels TV and enjoy. I'm Melinda Kinlami. Keep adding color to the world.